On to our top story straight away. An Indian team's chief coach Duncan Fletcher on Thursday left for South Africa after the death of his father-in-law and is set to miss India's next World Cup game against the UAE on Saturday. Fletcher is now expected to be back for the team's next match against West Indies on the 6th of March. Team India's assistant coaches Bharat Arun, R. Sridhar and Sanjay Bangar will now handle the training sessions with Ravi Shastri overseeing the tactical parts. A statement made by the team's manager, Dr. Baba, said, Duncan today left for Cape Town after receiving the news of the death of his father-in-law. He won't be available for the UAE game as he has a funeral to attend, but he's expected to be back before India's next match against the West Indies on March 6. All right, so now let's go across live to Shivani Gupta, who joins us from Perth. Shivani, is there anything more that you have to add on Duncan Fletcher than apart from whatever I've just said?
No, that's just about what we know, Himanshu, right now. A statement was released late last night, Perth time, announcing that Duncan Fletcher has left the Indian camp after the sorry news of the demise of his father-in-law. The good thing is that he would be back for the second match in Perth, that's against the West Indies. Perhaps more important of the two matches here in Perth, the first one against UAE. As far as his absence is concerned, as you mentioned, there are capable hands to handle the team's training and practice in the time. Of course, Ravi Shastri already is very, very deeply involved in overseeing India's preparations before each match. So not a big void as such. And again, just kind of impact that Duncan Fletcher could have just in preparations is debatable. Not a great thing to happen as, the World Cup is progressing towards knockout stages. But I think India is not any worse off. And Duncan, of course, allowed the time to be with his family at this tough time.
Right, Shivani, share with us an update on the training session of the Indian team in the absence of Fletcher. They, of course, took a break yesterday.
I couldn't quite understand the last part of your question, Himanshu, but I believe you're asking about the practice session that the Indian team is scheduled to have today. Now, I'm standing right outside the nets here at the VACA. The UAE team is scheduled to practice first. They should be arriving anytime soon. Indian team is scheduled to practice anywhere around 2 p.m. Perth time, which would be around 11:30 your time in India. Last time we saw, a day more ago, that the Indian team only concentrated on fielding and a warm-up game in football, but did not do any net sessions. This is one of the things that we have noticed with the Indian team in the World Cup, especially not pushing themselves to practice every day, but taking it slow, but keeping the intensity up in whatever practice sessions they do have. In fact, it was a very high intensity fielding session that they had a couple of days ago. And today we're expecting them to come out, of course, in full numbers, despite the absence of Duncan Fletcher, and have their final practice session, the net session as well, batting and bowling practice before the UAE game. Of course, key eyes are on the UAE team as well. They've managed to have two close games in the World Cup, knocking on the doors of a win. Their last match was extremely close against Ireland. So they're quite gung-ho as well. They'll be coming out to practice anytime soon, Himanshu.
All right, Shivani, stay with us. I'll come back to you in a bit. We continue to get you the big exclusives of the 2015 World Cup. Shivani, in fact, caught up with UAE's coach and the 1992 World Cup winner Aqib Javed ahead of the India-UAE clash. Javed analyzed his team's campaign so far and their strengths and weaknesses. Take a look.
It's a dream for every so-called minnow to come into the Cricket World Cup and cause one major upset. The UAE team has been knocking on the doors and has had two close games. I have the coach of the UAE team, the 1992 World Cup winning Pakistan team member Aqib Javed with me. Aqib, you've had two close games, but you've been on the losing side. Is there hurt and pain because you lost those games from close quarters, or do you feel the team is knocking on the doors and that's cause of joy for you?
I think we are building up a team. Before this tournament, nobody had any idea about UAE team. They thought UAE is gonna be just to make up the number, another World Cup. But this time, this UAE cricket team is well prepared. We worked really hard, and I think we have made a decent team which can push, even half of the international sides.
I'll come to the pushing part because the next match is against India and we don't quite want them to push us too hard. But what is stopping the team from winning, do you feel? Because close matches are good for any team because, you see how close you can be to a win. What's that missing link you feel?
I think if you see all the associate teams, there is one major factor, strike bowlers. We don't have strike bowlers which can come in a crucial time and win you a game. Associate teams can chase a big total, but I think this is my feeling. It's hard to defend. Once you are defending a total, then you have to have wicket-taking bowlers in your team.
So you mentioned that it's difficult to contain batsmen. Is chasing going to be UAE's strategy against India then?
Look, it's still a bit confusing for every team because when you bat first and you always under pressure to score more than 300, okay, and when you're chasing a run, when you put opposition a bat, then you're thinking about chasing 300 plus runs. So I think it's not a big deal. I would still say that under lights bowling is much easier than bowling in midday.
Who is going to be your main crucial players against India very quickly?
I think Khurram Khan is the main factor. He's been I think top player of associate cricket. Then Shaiman Anwar, centurion from last game. I think two batting options, and then we have effective low order, hard hitting two options. I think this is what our strategy is. If these 3-4 factors actually worked, I think we can post a decent total.
Shivani, it's clearly going to be a big opportunity for Aqib Javed to showcase his team on a global stage. Who do you think are going to be his main players, like we just heard in the interview? And what do you think is going to be the key for Aqib and his team?
I think the key for them is to believe that they can beat India, and I think that's the kind of confidence that they were exuberating when we spoke to them, several members of the team as well, including the two Indian men who are representing UAE, and those two men would be crucial for them as well. One a wicket-keeping batsman, one an all-rounding batsman. So they have, they have quite a few options. Khurram, as he mentioned, Aqib Javed, and of course their first centurion, Shaiman Anwar, is going to be crucial for them. But I think the two men who've impressed everyone the most are Naveed and Javed. They're two strike bowlers. Javed especially, being a baggage handler and coming up the ranks and now becoming the frontline bowler for UAE. So they have the mettle, but I think in such a contest, such a David versus Goliath contest, it's always the belief that you can cause an upset that's crucial. Their chances, of course, are still very slim, but they've had close games and they will put their might ahead. I was speaking to some of the players and they mentioned to me that the only thing that Aqib tells the team is that play fearlessly, and I think that's the way to go for an associate team. As Aqib said, you can chase a big total, you can put up a big total. Bowling is always the weak part, as he mentioned, because of the rules as well in today's one-day cricket. But I think if they play fearless cricket, if they don't go ahead with the baggage that they're the associate team and India is the defending champion, they could at least give India a close fight in this match.
All right, Shivani, hold on to those thoughts. I'll come back to you in a bit. Shivani also spoke to some of the Indian expats who will take the field for the UAE against India. Here's how they are preparing for the big clash.
When India plays UAE in the third group stage match, one small town in the outskirts of Mumbai and one small town in Kerala will be cheering for UAE. And here's the reason why. I have Swapnil and Krishna Karate. Two Indians will be playing for the UAE team come 28th of March, 28th of February. First up, Swapnil, how big an opportunity is this? And is this a bittersweet moment? You're not playing for India but against India?
मैं बहुत अच्छा फील कर रहा हूँ. मैं यूएई के लिए खेल रहा हूँ. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो मुझे इंडिया के लिए चांस नहीं मिला है क्योंकि मैं चाहता हूँ कि अभी यूएई के लिए खेल रहा हूँ तो यूएई के लिए मैं परफॉर्मेंस करूँ अच्छा, क्योंकि कल परसों मैं इंडिया के साथ खेल रहा हूँ अगेंस्ट. तो मुझे मेरा दोस्त भी खेल रहा है उसे अजिंक्य राणे, तो मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि मैं अजिंक्य राणे को देख के और अच्छा सीख लूँगा. Krishna,
for you played Vijay Hazare for your state. couldn't go further than that. But you know a lot of the players that are actually in this Indian team. Stuart Binney, you shared rooms with Robin Uthappa and Sreesanth. What is this opportunity like for you? I mean, how are you approaching the match against India?
So definitely this is a dream coming true for me. Yeah, my teammates, my friends, they have made it to the biggest level, and yeah, a couple of them have already played World Cup, which is the biggest event in cricket. So getting an opportunity to play this World Cup, it's a big thing for me, and playing India, the defending champions and one of the best team in the world. It gives a lot of experience. Playing against these guys, will definitely will give us a lot of confidence, and I'm really excited. I don't want to say I'm nervous, but really excited because I'm just wishing that why not the game is tomorrow? Why it's on day after tomorrow? So I just can't wait to go and go out
and you're raring to give your best against your the country that you actually lived in and grew up in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as I said, they are the best team in the world cricket now. So, yeah, getting to perform against them will definitely, give us an extra bit of mileage. It's not like, you may be an underdog team, but playing against a big team and giving them a hard time would definitely, bring us, into the world that we have played cricket back in our home in.
It's quite an interesting subplot to the main story. Shivani, Swapnil Patel and Krishna Chandran Karate clearly offer a very interesting twist in this tale. Big moment for their families and big moment for these two players as well.
That's right. Ever so often, not so often rather, in cricket you see an expat playing for another team and then facing his home country. But it's only really, I think, as part of the UAE team that we see Indian expats playing and then now facing India as well. These two boys are really charged up and I'm sure their families would be a little more than divided on who to support in this match, because their own villages in Kerala, in the outskirts of Mumbai, are actually putting up, hoardings and banners celebrating the fact that their kid is playing international cricket, playing a World Cup match, and you can't fault them for having a few cheers for the UAE team, especially when these two do their thing in the match against India. Very, very interesting subplot, but I think it's also a victory of the struggle that these two men and many others like them have gone through, especially as part of the UAE team. They couldn't quite fulfill their dreams in India, took the opportunities they got outside of the country and then continued to play cricket or continue to cherish that dream, and eventually they were rewarded. So it's a huge, huge victory for hopes and aspirations, really, and that's why this story is so heartwarming.
All right, in news just in, South Africa won the toss against West Indies at Sydney, and South Africa will be batting first. Shivani, quite an interesting decision by South Africa. Do you agree with their decision of batting first, and any likely changes that we can expect in the South African team this time?
Oh, Himanshu, this is a very interesting one, not just because, South Africa lost so badly against India, but because of the West Indies resurgence in their last match. We hear that South Africa have made 3 changes. Dumini, Parnell and Philander, injured Philander, are out. So in a way, they're a little hindered side, and that makes this contest even more even. On the other hand, Chris Gayle, who was slightly doubtful before this match, is actually playing. So West Indies have been boosted, while South Africa further hindered by injuries and other reasons. Ordinarily you would give South Africa a 70-30 chance, but given the way their previous matches have gone, this is a 50-50 game. Batting first, South Africa will have to put up a huge score against a batting lineup like the West Indies, who are going for broke really, and they're going to come out hard against South Africa. This is a very, very interesting match and very crucial for the progression of both these teams.
All right, thanks a lot, Shivani, for those updates. Well, on to the next big match that was placed yesterday. In a match that went to the wire, Afghanistan beat Scotland in their Pool A match by 1 wicket at University Oval in Dunedin. Batting first, Scotland made a modest 210 runs in their allotted 50 overs, with Matt Mashan and Majid Haq finishing as the top scorers. For Afghanistan, Chapu Zadran took 4 wickets, while Daulat Zadran took 3 wickets. Samiullah Shenware top scored for Afghanistan with 96 of 147 deliveries to take his side close to a win. Javed Ahmadi scored a runner ball 51 with 8 boundaries to lead the charge for Afghanistan along with Shenware. Richie Barrington finished as the top wicket taker for Scotland and returned with figures of 4 for 40 in 10 overs.